Welcome to Capes and Crossovers, the podcast where capes, masks, and multiverses collide. Not with fists or fandom wars, but with heart. I'm Luke Becker, here with my wonderful partner, Marvin Goines. We will be your guides through the wild, wonderful world of Marvel and DC projects. Here, we're ditching the toxicity and embracing the love, the sincerity, and the sheer joy these stories bring to the screen. Whether it's a team up, a reboot, or a universe shattering showdown, we're diving in with open minds and full on fandom. Grab your popcorn, suit up, and let's explore these worlds together. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the stories that unite us. Let's get started.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Capes and Crossovers. Today, we are going to be discussing Superman, Fantastic Four, perhaps a little Green Lanterns tease, and more with Daredevil. The show's over. I can't believe it. Oh my God. I can't believe we're already at the end of this show's run. My heart is broken. I have to wait another year to see this character again. But now, time to reflect a little bit. Marvin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I am doing fantastic, honestly. No pun intended. Yes, there you go. There you
I've got this
go.
really awesome shirt. Everybody needs to see this.
I am so jealous. That shirt is so sick.
I got it
Wow.
off of TikTok for like $15. It was great.
And you said it's super soft, right?
It's so soft.
Oh, nothing's better
But
than when you get a
it's so
soft
soft.
shirt. Yeah, no,
Especially like a
it's
nice white one. It just looks
right.
good. And it like for Fantastic Four, I had to do it.
Oh yeah, you have to. I
Yeah.
am so hyped for that movie, dude. I don't even know. There's so much to get into today. Where do you want to start?
Let's just go to Daredevil, which
Okay, let's do it.
right now, spoiler warning, we're talking about the show
Yes.
as a whole and the finale. So if you haven't seen it, come back later.
Yes.
So I'm gonna start by asking you a couple
Okay,
questions.
sure. Go
What
ahead.
did you like about the show and what did you not like about the show? Because I already know what I've thought and I talked about it in another podcast. So I'm probably going to just paraphrase and say the same thing, but I want to hear what you have to say because it might inspire something new out of me.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as I'll start with the positives, what I liked.
Yeah.
I really, really loved the fact that they had a really interesting way of mirroring the arcs between Matt and Wilson Fisk throughout this whole season. I love the breakdown they do of this addiction to chaos, this addiction to violence that both of these men have, and the way they portray that in the show, I thought was quite excellent, honestly. I was very impressed with it, and for what it's worth, I know there's a lot of talk about the difference between the direction of Moorhead and the other direction the directors in this show, but I thought the direction across the board was honestly really good. I mean, there's certainly little segments that could have been improved, particularly with the editing and maybe certain action sequences, but as far as the general direction of the show and the way they orchestrated these different shots and scenes, I was very, very happy. The writing was pretty sharp as a whole. Honestly, really, the only thing I can knock this show on would be the fact that A, it was Frankensteined a little bit, and you can feel that throughout certain segments of the show. And I think that, like I mentioned, some of the action sequences, while not bad, I think you could have done a little better, perhaps just through better, tighter editing, or maybe just choreographing parts a little differently. And beyond that, I will say, my one other not even criticism, more just I understand why some people might not like this. The finale is super open-ended. It is very, very, very open-ended. And while I don't mind that, especially knowing the context of this was one season basically that got split into two, most likely, given the original report of, or not even report, Feige himself said this was going to be 18 episodes.
Yeah.
And then it got cut down to nine, and now we're getting
Mhm.
two parts of nine. And I think that you can tell that like this was probably meant to be one season. This didn't feel like an end to the story. The only ending of the story that felt definitive was that we saw Daredevil and Fisk both literally born again. He is
Yeah.
now Kingpin again. Matt Murdock is now Daredevil again, fully. It is no longer a question of are they going back to their old ways? What are they going to do? No, they are back in every possible capacity. And Matt, like he says, he's building an army, and that is super exciting. So, as far as what they set up, very exciting. Would have tweaked maybe parts of the ending to give a little more closure on certain aspects, maybe, but beyond that, certain pacing issues, perhaps, editing, and maybe just a more cohesive storyline as a whole just to kind of tighten certain aspects up. I really love the show, man. I'm super happy with it, and I think that season two's going to be even better. So I'm extremely optimistic right now.
Yeah. So you said something that I really it brought to mind something I did like. I like how Wilson Fisk called himself Mayor Kingpin at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
that was a really wow moment. The shock value is there. Maybe the delivery itself wasn't like, oh my God, he said something crazy, but like it definitely had that weight behind it because he wasn't exaggerating. He's like, I'm not Mayor Fisk, I'm Mayor Kingpin. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna take off the mask and show you who I really am and what I really can do. Uh, some things I liked about season one were that Matt was a lot more acrobatic. That's one aspect of the character I really like, and it's something that apparently they couldn't, in a literal monetary sense, afford to do
Yeah.
on the original show on Netflix. So I'm glad they were able to get a budget to let him do something because that's it's like Spider-Man. You want to see Spider-Man swing around and do really cool abilities that like require a lot of agility, and Matt is similar. He's not the same because his superhuman powers are a little bit different, but he is capable of doing some cool stuff. So I was really happy to see that.
Yeah.
I like seeing him interact with the wider MCU, like even
Yes.
if it was just small things like mentioning a scroll or just that just knowing that they were in the MCU formally. Although the show in a weird or in an indirect way kind of confirmed that it always was, like mentioning Ray Nadeem and events from the original show. I
Mm-hmm.
never really had doubts. At the same time, I really didn't care if it was or was not. It is nice to get a definitive, like, yeah, this is, you can't really, there's not many interpretations. Like, it, if you don't pick up from the fact that all that stuff that happened, then work on your media literacy because it couldn't have been more blatant at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the things, or actually, no, another thing I really, really liked was that one of my favorite aspects of Daredevil slash Matt Murdock as a character is the lawyer aspect. I love that he
Mm-hmm.
can kick your ass, but I love the fact that he can also kick your ass in court, which he did in She-Hulk. And I was like, please God, if there's any possibility, give me some of that in his own show, right? Because he could tell with one whiff that that guy Leapfrog was using jet fuel when he was strictly told by the manufacturer to do otherwise. Breach of contract, boom, Matt wins that case. That's one thing. I love that Matt he's a winner on and off the court. Like
Mm-hmm.
he goes and wins fights in other ways, and then he wins fights there like in a justice way. So that's one thing I like that they gave him Matt the lawyer moments, and they were
Yes.
good ones. They weren't just like, because that's one thing I never liked about the Netflix show. He was basically Daredevil 98% of the time and Matt 2% of the time. And there has to be a balance. I'm sorry, but the character doesn't work if he's just Daredevil all the time. So this show did a lot better handling of that right off the get go. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. What I didn't like about the show was that now that you had all this to play into, they didn't go as deep as they could have. Like, kind of like they were being shy, like they were only sticking their toes in the water when I wish they were going to go for a full plunge. Now that we're going to season two and we've established everything, I can see that happening. But as a whole of season one, that is one thing that I was kind of like a little put off by. And I also was a little disappointed that we had Hawkeye and Echo setup events, and all of that was kind of like, oh yeah, that happened. Like
Mm-hmm.
almost the way they had the dialogue describing Wilson getting shot in the face was like, oh yeah, that happened that one time.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even say the young lady's name. Like, I'm
Right.
sorry. They set her up to be the queen pin or queen and all this, and Fisk left New York City, right? Because like he likes staying at home. He likes being there. He doesn't ever leave. For
Mm-hmm.
him to leave to go to what was it, Oklahoma or something?
Yeah.
Wherever the reservation was, like that's not around the corner. That's a several hour flight. And then he comes back and this also sets in motion a lot of the events because Vanessa took over because he got shot.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're like, oh well, my husband was dealing with this thing. My husband had this moment. My husband was gone doing something. He was recovering from getting shot in the face, and you're not even really mentioning it. It's like
Mhm.
it was not consequential when it was like the most consequential thing to everything happening in this show.
Mhm.
So if there's anything I didn't like, it's that they brushed aside something so important.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that's a great call, especially at the end. I hadn't even thought of that, but you know what? That's a great point because you're right. Without that, the events of this show don't happen in the way they do. And I did think of it early on, at least to some degree. Like it does feel weird that they're not like really mentioning Echo at all.
Yeah.
Like specifically, like you said, they don't even mention her name. Like it's almost
Nope.
like it's like that weird thing sometimes where they don't want to mention the character's name as if they don't have the rights to the character when they do. It's like, well,
Yeah.
that's what it feels
Yeah.
like at least. It's like, why can't you just say it? Like you could.
Like you can't say Spider-Man, okay, I get you there. You could say the masked vigilante in the red, the other one in the red suit or
Uh-huh.
something. But like really you can't say Echo? I'm sorry, but
Right.
what? It was so
Hmm.
frustrating. It was like one of those like just say it already. Like, come on.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm really hoping Echo is in season two. I think she has a clear spot narratively, even though she's not in New York anymore. If she found out what Fisk was doing to New York, I think she would want to come back and put a stop to this. I do. So I'm hoping that in some way she comes back or Matt
Yeah.
contacts her or some way she comes into the fold. Because you're right. She was a very important part of how these events end up happening. And on top of that, I do agree with you about Matt being a lawyer. I mean, he has so many excellent scenes in the show of just him being a lawyer. And that's
Mhm.
where like I disagree with certain parts of the discourse because I like to just get a I like to get a pulse on what people are thinking. So I'm just curious. I like to know what other people are thinking beyond myself because I know I'm not going to let these other perspectives necessarily warp my own perception. But
For sure.
from what I was seeing though, a lot of people just keep pointing out, oh, you can just watch episodes 1, 7, 8 and or 1, 8, 9 and you're good. You don't got to see the rest. It's like, no, you got to see the rest. And it's like on top of
Yeah.
that, I wouldn't discount the work of these other directors. In fact, I think episodes 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all really, really good. Like I have like for me the weakest links are 2 and 7. I always felt that way. 2 and 7 aren't super memorable for me, especially 7. Like I get the criticisms there, but for what it's worth though, there's a lot to like in those middle episodes, honestly. It's not just the Benson and Moorhead show, man. This is a
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
show with great and
Yeah.
quality content throughout. I mean, think about how hyped people were with the whole White Tiger storyline. People were in love with that. Did
Mhm.
we already forget just how emotionally impactful that storyline is after literally like he had 2 episodes of some screen time and people fell in love with the character and they were
Yeah.
devastated when he got killed off. So like you can't tell me the show had bad writing in the middle when all of you clearly felt so much for what was happening outside of the bookend parts.
But
Even
there's also like that one episode where he's representing the guy who stole the popcorn.
yeah,
That was one of the most talked about moments up until that point of the show. People were like, wow, that was an incredible scene. Look at the acting, look at the writing, look at the situation. This is like real life.
hmm
Okay, but then all of a sudden we go back to the this other thing and you just absolutely sideswipe that. Like,
yes,
no, you cannot do that. There was
hmm
a lot of meat on those bones. I'm sorry.
hmm
Like there are people just like, oh, well, forget those. Like, can you
hmm
imagine someone telling, here, open up a Harry Potter book and read the first and last chapters without all that in between? What is the story really? Like, oh,
right,
okay, cool. You meet this character and then you find out what happens to him. The journey is usually better than the destination. I mean, that's
hmm
part of the whole thing, why you traverse it to begin with. So to go and say, like, well, you can just skip, why would you do that?
right.
Why? What's the point? What are you getting out of it? How are you so busy that you can't watch this? You can put forth the time to watch these 3 episodes, but you're not going to do the rest. That's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. You have to give credit where it's due, and they absolutely did a great job in those middle episodes, honestly. And for what it's worth, I'm sure that if they had kept the show as it was originally, there would have been more issues present probably in those middle episodes. I'm sure you would have had issues with the way the show starts and the way the show ends, and it probably wouldn't have worked as well as it ends up working. But
Yeah.
the way the show is now,
Yeah.
it works pretty well.
Yeah.
Even if you can tell that there are certain things that like, oh, it feels a little weird in context with the rest of the show or how it ends or how it starts, but regardless, it does work largely, even if there are some issues. So again, we're not trying to say don't criticize it, but give credit where it is due because
But
there is a lot there to like. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I want to say is this show could have been so much worse. And luckily,
Oh God.
through intervention, someone
Mm-hmm.
stepped in and said, "This isn't working. Let's pivot." And hey, just if you're unhappy with the way it is right now, imagine how much more upset you'd be if they had stuck to the original plan. At least they pivoted. That
Right.
is the one thing I'll give them. At least they didn't say, "Well, we're just going to stick to our guns and change nothing," because we've seen this happen before with a couple of movies, and then we've seen them do the opposite of overreacting and doing too much to another movie, making it cost a lot more and it not end up working. They found a decent middle ground for once. And I think what really helped here is that they stopped treating this as miniseries and treated it as television. There is
Mm-hmm.
a difference. There is a very clear and distinct difference. Unfortunately, due to streaming as a whole, as a service, and as a movement, people have blurred the line. There are
Mm-hmm.
some things fit for a series. There are other things fit for television. Daredevil is a television show, not a 6 episode event series. Like the you mentioned earlier how like you were like a little less than crazy or not as thrilled by the fact that the way they bookended the first season and now we're having to wait for it because they got split up.
Mm-hmm.
But there is one thing I will say about this show.
Yeah.
At least we know they are already filming because
Yeah.
they already started filming on the show while weren't even done with this season. So we
Mm-hmm.
know more is coming. Like I have a big disappointment with things such as Moon Knight. I love the
Yes.
character. It
Mm-hmm.
ended, and now I have no idea what's happening with him. All I know is he killed Arthur Harrow and that he showed his third side.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Yeah.
and that was
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago. 3 years ago, right?
Wow.
So we just finished Daredevil a week ago today.
Mm-hmm.
And I already know in 11 months that I'll have an answer as to what's going on and I'll see him back on the screen.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I'm like, always had a frustration with Disney Plus shows. And now they're remedying it because they're treating it as television.
Mm-hmm.
Because growing up in the, late 90s, early 2000s, I had to watch show start fall. It go through December, pause, come back in January, go through to about middle of spring, pause for the summer, and then we'd come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sometimes you'd be left hanging, but you knew there was more coming.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the whole streaming thing has like shifted the way business operates as a whole. But if you treat it as a television show, then there's a lot more power there. Like I said, the issue is that they were treating these as series. Like look at Loki. There was what, a 2.5, 2 year gap in between. That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, especially given Loki, I would say was probably the best show we have gotten from Disney Plus. That's if it made me feel like Daredevil more, sure that could be the one. But otherwise, though, Loki is without a doubt, I think, the best we've gotten. So the fact that it ends up taking that long, it's pretty crazy. And all the shows, you're right. I mean, we never really the only show with the season two that we've actually gotten is Loki. That is the only
Yep.
one we have actually gotten so far. And it's
And
like,
then the only other thing where you've picked up from the characters has been Captain America, where he got
right,
his own movie. And you also had Miss Marvel appear
yes.
in the Marvels.
Hmm.
But you still have Hawkeye with Kate Bishop only showing up in a post-credit scene. You have WandaVision who showed up in Multiverse of Madness. And I know I'm blanking on something right now, but you see
She-Hulk,
the
well,
trend
She-Hulk.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, yeah, but you see the trend here. It's like either they show up in something in a movie, or we are just waiting to find out what happens.
right. And I agree. That makes the end of Daredevil feel a lot more a lot easier to swallow, much more of an easier pill to swallow when you know that you're going to end up getting that season two around maybe March of 2026. Like that's not far at all, man. That's
Yeah.
actually fantastic. It's such a honestly a breath of fresh air just knowing we're actually going to get a continuation of a show that fast. Like if they told me 2 years, I almost would have been happy, and that's how warped my mindset is at this point. No, that's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like that that
See,
that that's
see,
how
see.
warped
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
our perceptions are at this point because of streaming, where 2 years almost feels like semi-quick almost now. Like so much of it takes 3 years for any of these shows, and it's like, man, that is nuts. We went from a year to expecting 2.5 to 3, and if it's two, consider yourself lucky. Like,
Yeah. But another
wow.
thing to also think about is that means at some point, well, I don't know exactly how the schedules work. A lot of other people are really more on point with this. But that means we'll have a teaser trailer or we'll have some form of content at some point this year.
Hmm.
Like, even if it's December 31st, there's a good chance we will see something that prepares us for Daredevil season 2. We're not just going to be sitting there and all of a sudden, like, here's a trailer, the show comes out in 2 months. Enjoy.
Hmm.
There's going to be some buildup. I mean, we have Comic Cons later in the year where they'll make appearances, they'll talk about it to build up that hype before we actually get there.
Hmm.
The only other thing, because we talked about this before, is I was wondering if you ever think Daredevil or Fisk could ever show up in something else. Looking at the release schedule, no, unfortunately, like, I'm disappointed, but at the same time, now that I know that Daredevil comes back next spring, I'm fine. He doesn't need to show up for the rest of the year. If he does, I'm always happy about it. You heard me. I don't know if you heard me, Kevin Feige, but you could put him in anything. I would never be upset.
Yeah,
Even
no,
Eternals. Why? Just because.
just because, why not? I would love to see Matt Murdock fight a Celestial, but or better yet, have Matt Murdock represent the Eternals that are being judged. He can be the one that's defending them. Oh yeah, there you go. There's your
Oh, see,
little
I know you're
little connect.
joking, but I'm just like, I'm getting all excited in my head. I'm like, he could do it. He could do it. He would
Right.
win that. Matt Murdock took on the Supreme Court and won.
Uh-huh. That's right.
He
And
can
that,
do it.
yeah.
He can do it. The ultimate judgment. He's ready for it.
Hmm. That's funny. I actually
uh,
just read that pretty recently in the Charles
okay.
Soule run. Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about Echo. Like, how do you feel about the fact that there weren't other people aside? Like, the only person that showed up was Punisher. No one
Mhm.
else, not even from the original show, except for, like, what, Josie?
Yeah.
Right? Like, how do you feel about the fact that nobody else from the show appeared, nor anybody else from the wider MCU? All we got was Kamala Khan's dad,
Mhm.
realistically. Like, what do you think? Do you think is there anybody off the top of your head do you think could have shown up? Anybody you wanted to see show up?
Um, I will say, kind of like we were talking about before, knowing we have a season two, I do feel better about not having necessarily a lot of characters pop up. But I will say, when it comes to, him putting this team together to fight this war, in season two, my expectations are going to go up. And that's not me saying as a fan I want a cameo fest. It's not about that. If you're going to really go to war, I would like them to really capture some of what they did in that Charles Soule run, where they end up getting that team together of some pretty big heroes. And I don't necessarily need it to be an Avengers level event. I believe the showrunner maybe even commented like it's not going to be as big as that if we get that far. And that's fine. I don't need it to get to that level, but would I like to see a couple of the defenders come back into the fold? Would I like to see Echo kind of play a role here and come back to New York City? Or maybe even have like a Miss Marvel end up coming into the fold because her dad hears about what's happening with Matt, or whatever
Mhm.
it may be. Like, there are ways to integrate other heroes here, and I would like to see that actually come to fruition. Because in this storyline, I think you need to do that. You can't just have it be these different cops from the show and Cherry. That's my only negative for the show. I don't like Cherry, but
Yeah, a lot of people seem to not like him, and I understand.
I say that I dislike him. It's just he's such a nothing character for me, at least. That's
Yeah,
really
they
more
could
of
have
what
put
it
in Brett
is.
Mahoney. That would have been a lot
Right.
better.
And
But
that's
what
that's
what
the
can you
other
do,
thing. Yeah. So I'm curious to see if even a character like that could he come back for next season? I don't know. My gut
I
says
hope
no.
so.
My gut says
Yeah,
no. I could be wrong. And I think that's largely because they want to try to build up these other cops and get us as fans kind of connected to them more. Because right now, it's limited. I'm looking at the army he put together and
yeah.
like
It's
the
like three retired cops, himself, Frank.
right.
No, not Frank. Sorry,
Not even
Karen.
Frank, yeah.
And, like,
So
that's five people against a corrupt,
uh-huh.
police department and a dude who can pull any and all levers, who also has leverage on the whole city council.
Hmm. And hey, humble beginnings. Obviously, that could be where we're just starting, and we can see that growth happen throughout next season as he goes out trying to make contacts and talk to the
Yeah.
defenders again. If that's the route we're taking, sure, I have no problem with that. I'm
Well,
patient.
Matt has come back from worse. Like,
Yes.
realistically, this time he at least is starting off with some help, because there's been times, and like in the actual Daredevil Born Again run, the comic series itself, he literally starts from like lying on a piece of trash. Like, he's laying out in an alley, like the worst possible situation you could imagine, and he came back and won. Like, he's he's a fighter. I mean, his dad's a boxer, and he's got that innate spirit with him to fight back and to never go down until he can't get back up. Like, that's the beautiful thing about Matt as a character, and that it carries over into Daredevil, that he's not just going to sit back and be like, okay, well, we can't do nothing about it. Obviously, the whole finale was him saying, look, this is going to be hard, but we have to take this dude on and we're
Mhm.
going to win. And
Right.
that's just like that's what makes Daredevil such an amazing character.
Yes. Um, One thing I have to comment on, just because we are talking about the characters that did appear in the show as well
Yeah,
at the end. I mean,
yeah,
we got our return to the Punisher, and I have to say, I mean, the
that was
Punisher
cool.
was absolutely fantastic. I was so happy with the way they handled this, and funny, this was a another source of debate with some people, specifically.
The
I'm not sure if you saw, but how they handled that storyline, and I was like,
That was
if
perfect.
I have no issues, but B, even less issues knowing that we have a Punisher special coming
Oh
out.
yeah, that's right. I completely forgot. Not I completely
Right.
forgot about it. I just it's not in the forefront of my mind because there's nothing been said apart from the initial like announcement of it, which is good because
Yes.
it's a special. It's just a
Uh-huh.
special. It's something like Werewolf by Night, just something like an amuse bouche to enjoy before we get another course of Daredevil.
Right. So like you're looking at that, and the showrunner already confirmed at the end of that episode with the post-credit scene with Frank grabbing the guy's arm, that was direct setup for the special. So I'm guessing that the special is gonna be him breaking out of this facility probably and making his way back, taking out all these corrupt cops on the way out probably, and kind of making it clear just how disgusted he is by these people and what they're doing. And that's what I'm saying. So you're gonna have a whole special that's probably largely dedicated to just that, him showing that disdain and disgust for these people that are using his symbol and killing them as he breaks his way out of this Wilson Fisk run facility. Like,
Yeah,
I think that right there is enough. But more importantly, even what we got already, though, I mean, I think sometimes less is more. You know, I heard some people like, oh, he didn't actually really talk about it much. He didn't address it. I don't think he needed to, man. Just
yeah.
looking at
You,
Frank's face and the way he looked at these cops and said they're clowns, like I thought that
yeah.
was perfect.
You want to know something really funny? This will make you laugh, I
Yeah,
promise.
go ahead.
In that post-credit scene, when he starts talking to the guy and he says he's from Jersey, I'm like, oh my God, it's Kamala Khan. I was like, I forgot she doesn't have her powers from the comics because she can shapeshift. She does in the comics. And I
Right.
was like, oh my God, she's dressed up as this guy. And I'm like, wait, no, wait, she can't do that. And then broke the dude's arm. And I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely not Kamala. But
Mhm.
a little funny moment for like a split second. I was really convinced because he said he was from Jersey.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with the whole Punisher, man. That man calling all those people clowns to their face was so wonderful. And he's like the kind of dude, he's like, I don't care. I'm going to say exactly what's on my mind, even if y'all are going to beat the crap out of me. And he took a beating, unfortunately. But I mean,
Hmm.
what you couldn't expect anything different. Of course, that's exactly what was going to happen and play out.
Oh,
Uh,
but apparently everyone has told me, Frank, would have never actually barged in there like that. He would have planned everything out. He's too calculated to make that kind of mistake because he's not capable of error, obviously.
did they watch the Punisher show?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, look, he's a very smart guy and he would
Yeah,
obviously, and there are things he would plan out, but you're going to tell me that he doesn't make mistakes and he couldn't have
it's
just let emotion take over in a moment of weakness maybe and just barge in there? Like, I don't
did
know.
they not watch Daredevil or the Punisher
I
original shows? Because he
I
definitely
don't
does
know.
both of those things in both of
Yeah,
those shows.
I know.
I digress. So we've talked about some of the big moments with Punisher and assembling an army in the post credit scene, but we have like I'd say three of them that we really should touch on. One of them I think would be quick, but there's two of them that are pretty big.
Mhm.
I'm gonna get the biggest one out of the way. Kingpin killing the police commissioner in the
Oh,
manner he did, gruesome. That's
wow.
where that TV mature rating just beautiful. Put that stamp on there and use that shit.
Hmm.
Uh, because I was like, they're really making this show TV mature because obviously there's some broken bones. I'm like, okay.
Hmm.
And there were some moments throughout the show where I was like, all right, that's warranted.
Hmm.
But when I saw that, I was like, damn, that's something I would expected in The Boys, not in a Marvel show.
Hmm.
And people kept talking about, well, in the Netflix show, he popped that dude's head with the door. I'm
This
like,
was worse.
this is like 50 times worse. You see the head fucking pop, bro. Like, not
His
just that,
face
yeah,
ripped.
you see the
It
jaw
literally
just
ripped.
split off. Like in the Netflix show, like yes, the action itself is gruesome, but you didn't really see as much as you did. Don't get me wrong, they are on the same level of like devious.
Right.
My God. But the actual like what we saw on the screen, the Born Again absolutely out,
Hmm.
eclipsed the original show. I am still in shock of that.
Hmm.
Whew. So what do you think of
Yeah.
that? That was something else, right?
I mean, dude, as a fan of horror movies, that was so like horror movie inspired with the use of prosthetics. I thought that was so cool. I love the way they executed that scene and the way they were going back and forth between Frank talking with the cops and then him just slowly squeezing this dude's head. You can see his eyeballs popping out
Hmm.
of his skull.
Like grapes.
And then he's like, you know what? I'm not gonna squeeze it. I'm just gonna rip it. He like changes his hand position and just pulls this way. And I'm like, oh my God, like that was it. You're right. That's worse than anything they've shown in the Netflix show. And on top of that, man, I think that
And
I
on
never thought
Disney
they'd go there.
Plus.
Yeah, welcome to
Ooh.
Disney Plus, kids. I mean,
Oh, dude, we want to know something funny. One of my friends, when he started watching the show, the day it came out, he's like, Marv, it's not working. Marv, it's not working. I don't see it. And I'm like, are you on your son's account right now? He goes, yeah.
Mhm,
I'm like, switch over to your profile, brother. I promise you it's there. And like that TV 17 mature, because he's in England, so they use a different rating system.
mhm.
I was like, yeah, it's not there for shits and giggles. I promise you, it's there for a reason.
Wow. No, dude, it's crazy. I was in love with the execution of that scene, honestly. I'm a
Yeah,
big fan of the way they're handling Kingpin, honestly, so far. And on top of that, I'm just happy they're willing to go to those places when they want to and that they're not being held back. You know, yeah, obviously you don't need to overdo it. You don't need to always do that kind of thing every episode, but you can do it when you really want to make that impact. And I think it made the impact they really wanted it to. So
for sure.
I was very, very pleased with that scene.
Yeah, because like I love The Boys. It's something I watch, but like at some point it's like this is over. There's gratuitous and there's overly gratuitous. That The Boys does that a little bit too much. I'm like, you don't have to have something explode, a body part explode every episode. You just don't. You don't have to do it every episode, but they do apparently. But the shock value that came from this and at the end, and not just oh look, we can make blood appear on screen. It was like he was conveying a message, and I promise you that message was conveyed in an effective and understandable manner that all the people. I'm like, I'm sure the cops are like, oh boy, what did we get into now? Was this a big mistake? And then they all start nodding their head, and I'm like, that is scary. So the other two moments I want to talk about. Oh, let's get the quick one out of the way. It's the Karen return there at the finale. I actually was a little surprised by that. Not like, oh wow, I can't believe she came back. Like, yeah, of course she was going to come back, but it was more like when and how she showed up. Because I was scared when that car pulled up. I didn't know what was about to happen to
Mhm.
Matt and Frank there. So when she got out of the car, I was like, oh thank God. I had a bad feeling about this. I didn't know where it was going.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually I had a feeling that was gonna be her, and that when Frank said I someone else called me, I was like, oh, it was probably Karen. But what
Oh,
I
I missed that.
yeah, it's when they were in the apartment and
Yeah,
yeah, he says someone called him. I was like, oh, that's probably Karen. I don't
that
think
makes a
anyone
lot of
else.
sense.
Yeah. But what I was really interested by was the fact that I think they're very clearly I think setting up potentially Matt and her having that romance rekindled, honestly. I do
For
think
sure.
that's definitely being set up. Also, the showrunner referenced Heather, the girlfriend from the show, as Matt's ex when in an interview. So,
That's great because my next question has to do with her.
okay.
So like you are lining this up so well right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for.
So the thing is what do you think of Heather's turn where she decides I'm going to work for Mayor Kingpin? I mean Mayor Fisk or both, whatever. Because I honestly didn't see that coming. I could see her being sympathetic and like she's been kind of dismissive towards Matt's claims and like the fact that uh Kingpin's crimes are public. I mean, he went to trial, he was in prison, he got shot in the face, all this happened, but yet she was like, I don't believe you. So I was a little shocked there when she was like, yeah, I'm gonna go work for the big ball guy that just put the city into like terror. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't totally shocked only because in episode 8 they really set up just how much Matt looked crazy to her, like
That's
how he
fair.
was just so delusional and like
Hmm.
he's making all this stuff up clearly, and I only half blame her at most because like given the context of what she knew, that makes sense. However, I do understand what you're saying too for sure. Like he has a clear history of being a criminal and she is against vigilantes and that kind of crime, and he's not exactly innocent himself historically. You can say what you want about believing in change, but to discount everything he did does seem a little bit silly because, like you said, we're treating this as canon. It's all canon. So we know that this stuff is public. I mean, season 3, people were rioting and protesting outside of his home.
Yep.
So clearly the city was against him at a point, very much so. And some people still are, but why is it that she's that trusting of him to the point? I mean, I guess you can make the argument too. Maybe part of it is the fact that she at least feels like she can make a difference, at least having a position of power inside of his cabinet, being in charge of mental health. Like, at least now she has that key. She can be a big part of improving things in the city, even though
But
it's,
how much will he really like, relay to
yeah, I
her,
don't
let her
know.
actually do it? Because I mean, at the end of the day, you have to remember this guy is one that likes to have complete and total control and power. So if he tells her do this, she's not going to be in any position to say no. I don't think that's the best course of action. You're
But
just
it's,
going to do.
yeah.
You're going to do what I say, and that's it. Otherwise, I'm just going to kill you. Like,
Mhm.
but that's the thing. I mean, what do you think happens when she's faced with that dilemma and then realizes, oh my God, Matt was right all along?
Yeah, I mean that's probably when she's gonna end up going back to him, I'd imagine, to talk. But as far as a relationship goes, I do think it'll probably be too late. I do think him
Oh,
and
I don't mean them
Karen.
dating. I'm just saying like
Okay,
her, just like in the sense of like, oh my God, Matt, you were right about this guy. He's,
right, right,
bad
right.
news, whatever. Because one thing I found really interesting that they did differently was in the comics, Heather is like a party girl. She's like remember when you first meet Elektra in
Hmm.
in the original show, and she's there having a good time, steals the Ferrari and everything. That's kind of similar to Heather's characterization. So when they called her Dr. Glenn, I was like, excuse me, like this is the kind of girl you meet at a nightclub, not a girl that is an accomplished author and therapist. I mean, those are two, you have to have a lot of discipline to
Hmm.
do that, which is the opposite of a party girl, right?
Right.
So but I think that's awesome too. Like, rather, sure, they kind of just borrowed the name, but at the same time to make her like, I don't want to say girl boss because that's not really the right word, but she's a professional. She's an accomplished and mature woman who's gotten things done with her life. And I think that's one thing that I like about the show that they did also with Kirsten McDuffie. Kirsten McDuffie was equally capable. She was, half part of the firm that Matt was a part of. And she was as much a hard ass on Matt as she should have been. And she was right. She's like, where are you going? What is happening? Why aren't you doing this? You go missing. Like, because she cares. And I wonder if she'll ever find out about Matt being Daredevil and how she'll react to that.
Yeah, my gut tells me she is gonna eventually find out. I'd be kind of surprised if she didn't, because I think it would just be good for the storyline and adding another layer of drama to everything. But yeah, no, it's a good point though. I'm really interested to see how that plays out. But also, I didn't really know the origins of the character and the fact that she was more of a party girl, honestly. So you adding that
That's Heather.
yeah,
That's Heather.
you
Yeah.
adding that context is interesting for me because I did not know that. Well, what
Well,
comic run was she mainly from? Do you know? I don't know, honestly.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think party girl may have been the wrong phrase. She's a socialite, but I mean, she's like the kind of girl that goes to like events. She's not like,
Right.
you know, writing books
Mhm.
and having clients and stuff. But she's more like, I think she comes from a wealthy family, and just met Matt at some sort of event, and they had a relationship.
Mhm.
One of Matt's many, many, many,
Yes.
many, 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 many.
Many.
So let's start wrapping up on Daredevil.
Yeah.
For season two, is there anything you hope to see or play out? Is there anything from season one you hope to see carry over? Like, I know that there's set photos and some leaks and stuff, but
Yeah.
barring all that information, just set that aside. What do you want?
I'm gonna say the same thing I said probably a few episodes ago when we talked about this. I really want them to continue taking certain influences from that Charles Soule run. I really do want to see the return of Muse. That's something I really hope we do get to see. I would like to see Ten Fingers introduced in season two in some way. I'm big on that train. As far as carrying stuff over that the creatives did in season one, though, I would like to continue to see, honestly, like you said, more of Matt just being. Yeah. I mean, I would like to see more of Matt being a lawyer, but I have a feeling narratively we're not going to get as much of that because of what this storyline entails, which I understand. I'm cool with that because of where we're going. But if the storyline does allow for it, that would be nice because I really enjoyed those scenes in season one. And I thought they were excellently done with White Tiger, especially, but really all the scenes. And the action sequences were really well handled at the end, especially with the Punisher and Daredevil in the apartment. Everything that Benson and Moorhead did, really honestly, awesome stuff with the action. Although there was good stuff even in between that, I really liked the way they directed action. And on top of that, I just love the way they were writing these characters. So please continue the great writing, the great direction, the great cinematography, and add on to these storylines and some of the stuff I was mentioning. That's stuff I would really love to see. So, and I think we're going to get a lot of that, honestly. A lot of what I just said, I expect to get most of that as a fan, which is so, so exciting. So, thumbs
Yeah.
up here. And at the end, I can save it, but do you want to give a rating for the season at the end?
Yeah, here at the end, we can both give
Okay,
one.
cool.
Um, some of the stuff that I want to see play out is they already set the tone with Angela, you know,
Mhm.
White Tiger's niece. I want to see more
Yes.
of that, even if it's just small things to seeing her develop, like starting to decide to take, like Muay Thai classes, just some sort of like, just seeing her starting to embrace that role. Because obviously she was left very upset with how things played out. And in the comics, I believe she's also a detective. So she's a detective and she's a vigilante. So I'm hoping that due to those events, it radicalizes her. It makes her
Hmm.
want to go out and do that. That's one thing I'd like to see. This is purely because of everything I read, but I'm hoping Foggy is still alive and he's been hiding. They put that little 468 insert, and there's other little hints. The conversation between Matt and Vanessa that was not solidified there at the end. Obviously, Bullseye's still running around, so I hope I see a lot more of him next season. Uh, Karen's back in New York City, so I want to see more of her. I want to
Yeah.
see more Punisher if possible, because I
Hmm.
love how he keeps just making appearances for Daredevil.
Hmm.
I'm gonna always keep saying it, but I love seeing Matt being a lawyer. But as you said, there might be a chance where he can't because a lot of other stuff's going on. And I want to see someone that isn't Matt or Daredevil challenging Fist to see how he reacts. Because really all his whole career has been dealing with just Daredevil.
Yes.
I'm hoping to see other MCU heroes or
Hmm.
characters show up and start to try to give him a run for his money, where he starts to get a little bit panicked because yes, he's got Daredevil locked down, but then more starts showing up and he's got a lot more on his plate.
Yes.
And I would love to see what the hell they're going to do with Swordsman because they got him locked up for a reason.
Hmm.
And the last thing I would love to see, because they did it with White Tiger, I would love to see more characters from the comics that are lesser known, like White Tiger, get introduced to that show to a wider audience. As you mentioned earlier, that a lot of people love the character, really liked him, were disappointed or devastated by his death. Bring more of those people that we care about into the front because there are some really cool lesser known characters. One I can think of off the top of my head, Mr. Fear. Mr. Fear is a really great Daredevil villain. I think that would be a really fun one to incorporate, especially since you have like what the series finale reminded me of,
Hmm.
the ending of it. It reminded me of the Batman.
Oh yeah, totally. I
And
definitely see
and
that.
and so like kind of what happens with the Batman that after all this chaos, now you're starting to see other things like come out because of the chaos, lack of order. Mr. Fear would be a great one to add right now at this point because then he could just make it in triplicate.
Mhm.
And so my rating for this season, what are we using for a scale?
Out of 10.
1 out of 10. Okay. I'd say an 8.
Hmm.
Like I would give it more, but they had the whole the whole creative overhaul
Yeah.
changes and everything, but they still managed to like pull off a solid series as a whole, even with all the crap they endured. What
Yeah.
about you?
I'm totally with you. At one point, I was at an 8.5, but after I thought about it, I went down to an 8. Only because I thought about it. I'll just mention this for context. Daredevil season 3 for me is a 10.
Mm-hmm.
Daredevil season 1 anywhere from a 9 to a 10. Daredevil season 2 is like an 8.5 for me, and I think this one is at an 8. Daredevil season 2 at one point I had equal with this show, but the one thing I will give season 2 is the fact that it is cohesive because it's one team throughout the whole show, and it does have that benefit that this show didn't have. So even though I have little narrative issues, there aren't narrative inconsistencies necessarily. So for that reason, I would say that one's a little bit better. But for what it's worth, like you said, this is still a really good show, even with those issues in mind. And honestly, for those that didn't really enjoy the show too much, I think part of it was the fact that they just had such a high bar with that original Netflix show. But I think
Yeah.
if you really step away and look at the show for what it was and not try to look at it as it needs to match the highs of the Netflix show, although eventually I think it will. I think you'll like the show a lot more because I think it was really good on, for what it was, and I'm excited to see what they go to next.
Yeah, and another thing is, I'm gonna just be completely honest. Sometimes there were long periods of the Netflix show that were just quite boring. Like having to force what 10, 12 episodes that were an hour long a piece. Sometimes there were just moments I'm like, can we get on with it? I didn't really have that feeling with this show.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I'd say let's restructure. Let's go to Thunderbolts
Okay.
because I think right now they're starting to come out of the theaters and give reactions. So I didn't know if you wanted to like kind of like poke your head and see what people were saying right off the bat, or just give your thoughts.
If there are reactions, I will definitely poke my head. Let's see. I know that I think the embargo is tonight though, right?
Oh, it's tonight. I misunderstood. I
Yeah,
thought it
I
was.
think it's 4 p.m. Central for the embargo, which would be 7 p.m. Eastern for
Oh
me.
yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure at least. I could be wrong, but if I remember correctly at least. So we'll probably get those reactions later on.
Thunderbolts. The 4:22 at 4:30. No, at 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. So in
Oh,
30 minutes.
is
So
that?
how about this? Let's keep going, and then when they come out, we can talk about if we're still on. If not, not a big deal.
Yeah, sure.
So then we're
Okay.
gonna skip. Um, so then let's make the next topic the other big Marvel thing, which is Fantastic Four, which is why I put
Yeah.
on this really neat shirt. There's so much to unpack from just that little bit,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because, like, I mean, let's not be shy. You and I both know a lot of what happens, or what a lot about the production of this movie. So, like,
Mhm.
there's there was nothing in the trailer that surprised me because I already knew all this stuff.
Right.
Sadly, right? Because man, imagine the surprises had not knowing. But there's still so much in there that it's like, whoa, because it's hard to really have thoughts on something when all you've read is textual descriptions of things, and actually seeing it for yourself really changes it. Um, the thing that stood out to me was Silver Surfer. I love the design. I think it looks really great. Definitely an improvement over Silver Surfer from 20 something years ago. And
Mhm.
you'd hope that, right? You'd hope over 20 years, but you can always make a bad design decision and it not look so great. But I
Right.
think it looks great. And I love the fact that they still left a lot of Julia Garner's likeness
Mhm.
intact.
Yes.
I haven't seen her acting a whole lot. I'm well aware of what she's done. Like Ozark is the thing that really put her on the map, and that's why
Mhm.
she has this role to begin with. I have seen her in one thing. It was Apartment 7A, which was a prequel to Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
And she was fantastic in that. And when I wrote my review of it, I'm like, I wrote somewhere in there, I'm like, I completely understand why she has this role. She's a
Mhm.
great actress. I was extremely impressed with her, and I don't really like horror, so like for me to watch that took a lot of effort, but she made it so much more enjoyable. So
Mhm.
I'm really excited to see her. All she's doing is she's heralding the return or the arrival of Galactus, which they tease at the end of the trailer.
Yes.
And I thought that was great. That was just like the most excellent way to do it. Not
Mhm.
like, here's his face. Like, yeah, we saw his face from that Comic Con or Disney 23, one of
It
those
was
events.
leaked. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we didn't actually see it. I mean, it got shared. But I love the subtlety, right? This beats a big old cloud in the sky, and yet you're still seeing like this. What impresses me the most is the scale of it. They got that right finally,
Mhm.
because there at the end of the trailer, you see him stepping through, and his foot is like the width of a street there in New York City. And you live and are from New York City, so like that's huge.
Mhm.
That's huge. Like that's a big boy coming through there. Um, so what do you think about Silver Surfer?
Yeah, Silver Surfer I thought was really cool. I loved the design as a whole. I remember that was the one part from the trailer some people did not like. I think that was the only thing people didn't like actually from that whole trailer, which honestly, that was actually a surprise for me because people are so negative. I was like, I'm shocked that's the only thing people said they didn't like. Wow. I can actually work with that. But you know what? I love the design, honestly. I think that maybe there's little improvements that could be made, but that's always the thing. I liked it so far. And I think particularly maybe parts of the face could maybe look a little more natural specifically, but as far as what they're going for and the actual design itself, I agree. I like that they kept so much of Julia Garner's likeness. I think that's a major plus. I love the little effects that we got so far with her, like she phases through a helicopter when she flies off, and then the way she knocks Johnny off the board. And there's a couple cool sequences we got with her, honestly. There's one where she's like riding around like a storm of clouds or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that scene was really cool. I thought that was sick. But what we got with her so far, I really love her delivery of the dialogue we've gotten with her too. Really like the approach to it thus far. And I think that she's going to be just an epic addition to this movie and this world, honestly. And like you said with Galactus too, Galactus, the scale is so epic. I love what they're doing so far, and I think this is just a fraction of what we're going to get because my guess is they're going to take the approach of where Galactus could change sizes because Galactus is a
Oh, yeah, that would be cool.
yeah,
Yeah, he does get bigger.
right,
Yeah, but to like
yeah,
convey the threat he
yes,
is perfect the way they did that. Yeah.
because Galactus is a planet eater, and even in like, look, he's giant right now, but like he's not big enough to eat a planet. With the way he's walking on Earth, no. But can he change sizes to literally eat a planet? I think so. I think that's probably what they're going to be doing
Or
because
what if he's just increasing his size by eating more planets and he just needs Earth to get really big?
maybe that could be part of
I'm
it.
being I'm sorry.
Hey,
I'm being silly. I just thought it'd be
hey,
funny. Because
hey!
like,
I've heard
you know,
crazier
like
things.
I mean, like, have you ever seen like a turkey? You're like, there's no way I can eat all that. But then the next thing you know, there's only bones left. Like, I've been there before.
I'm with your theory. It's possible. It's very much possible.
uh, oh, but you know what?
Um,
Just because I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt, but like
no, go.
one thing that got me about Silver Surfer though that I thought was really, really, really cool was how they like broadcast her when she was making that announcement and like
Yes.
how they framed it of her standing above them or
Hmm.
flying, floating, whatever. Like, dude, that's the one thing that got me. I was like, they didn't just like, oh, hey, look, there's something here. Like, yo, everyone stop what you're doing and look at this because oh my God, this is an actual serious moment. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And then the Fantastic Four show up.
Right.
But sorry, let's go back to Galactus. I wanted to say that
Yeah.
before I
No,
forgot
that's
about it.
fine. And the only thing I was going to add on Galactus is I love the fact that you're seeing that 1960s classic type of filmmaking come in here because I can say with certainty after someone pointed it out, that's definitely a miniature in that last scene with Galactus, like 100%. If you look at that video and look at like the streets and like the light and the cars when he steps,
Oh, yes, yes.
that's definitely a miniature with the actual actor walking through it.
Like
I
Ghostbusters?
Yeah, I think that's definitely what they were doing there. You
That's
can
cool.
like if you look at it again and just look at the little set pieces there,
Mhm.
it looks like it's not totally real if you really try to zone in on it. You're like, oh, right, that's cool.
Right.
That's a I guess what he Matt Shackman's referring to when he says like, how would someone like Stanley Kubrick make this film today? And like, yeah, that is something
You're
Stanley Kubrick
right.
probably would do
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's him staying true to what he said so far. And yeah, I'm in love with the look of this film so far. I just have to add,
You know what? I'm gonna
oh
open
gosh,
that up real quick because
yeah,
I got
do
a
it.
second screen. I want to see this for myself.
Yes, take a look.
Yeah.
But
Let's
I'll just talk while you're looking. I
just gotta
think
mute this.
that
Let's
the
see.
cinematography has been stunning so far. Oh my God, I can't get over the look of this movie. It's
Oh
so
yeah.
cool,
Oh
right?
yeah. I can
Yeah,
totally
right. Now you
I
see
see
it.
it now. Because
Yeah,
I was really looking more at the buildings and the ground,
me
but now
too.
that I
Yeah,
look at the lamppost and the way it's
yes, it like
wiggled, I'm like,
wobbles. Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. No, that's oh God. Man,
Hmm.
so they there was they finally revealed because I remember like 2 weeks ago or a week ago when they showed that one short clip, like you're late, and then
Yes.
Vanessa and we talked about how she was pregnant, you know. But
Hmm.
now like they actually went out and said it in this trailer, like thank God, like it's like a breath of air to get that out because that feels like one of those things that was going to get out, so it's just easier to, pardon me, get it out yourself, right?
Hmm.
Just say, hey, she's pregnant, you know.
Hmm.
Franklin Richards is coming. But I do love the whole dynamic of it all. Like, you know, thinking the kid's gonna have two uncles. Um,
Yeah.
and Johnny's initial reaction, like, oh, like so supportive of his sister, and then immediately ribbing Reed.
Yeah.
Like, it's really awesome because as much as I liked, because I did not love, as much as I liked the Fantastic Four movies from back in the day, they never really had the proper. The only thing that was accurate, in my opinion, was Johnny and Ben.
Hmm.
Everything else, all the other relationships were
Right.
like bare bones, like do the absolute bare minimum in capturing. But this already seems like they're not just like getting it, they're like implementing it fully all the way through. I love the way that Ben, kind of treats everything, and how Johnny just messed with both of them, and Reed and Sue together, like she what I hated about those early 2000 movies is that they treated Sue as just like eye candy only.
Yeah.
She is always beautiful, but she is very intelligent, and they actually, you can see they treat her that way in this movie.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think the handling of the characters is going to be way, way better than what we saw in those old Fantastic Four movies. Not to say they had no redeeming qualities, like you said. I did really enjoy Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm in those movies, and even Grufford as Reed. Like as far as the casting choice, I
Casting
do
was good.
I do
Yeah.
like him in that movie for sure as Reed Richards. But when it comes to the writing, yeah, I think there's a lot of room for improvement there, and I think we're seeing that already in these little clips and just the seeing this world fully realized has been the most exciting part for me. The fact that they don't have the handcuffs of being in the MCU and Shackman can kind of really do whatever he wants as far as the aesthetic of this movie, I think that's really, really exciting. And I think that's why I was saying while you were looking at the clip, this could end up being the most visually exciting Marvel movie for me. Like, honestly, I love the look of everything so far. Just the way everything's
Yeah.
lit, the way everything's framed, the shots, the filming techniques that have been talked about. Like
Hmm.
it just feels like everything is such an inspired and not just an inspired choice, but very deliberate choice. They're not just doing stuff as they go along and trying to, you know, go with the flow. They are really making choices here that are planned out, specific, and have a motive and purpose behind them. And I think you're going to see that's why this movie is able to be released as soon as it was. Because remember, this is a pretty short um
Turnaround.
post production time. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
compared to like even like a Superman, which is coming out essentially at the same time, I think it's like a maybe how 6 month difference. Like it's a
Yeah.
pretty long
Because they
time.
finished last summer of
Right.
Superman, and
Like
they finished this movie back in like November, I
yeah,
think.
like it's a big gap, man. Like you're talking like
Yeah.
4 or 5 months difference, and the fact that this movie is going to have this kind of turnaround and potentially look like as amazing as it does visually, that just goes to show you whenever that happens, that means well, A, limited reshoots and they're not going back to change a lot, but B, also the fact that they very specifically planned stuff out in advance. They did a lot of VFX and effects prior to the start of filming, and you can even see that because of the fact that before they even really did filming we had a look at the cast already. Or if you remember, they had that initial video of like them all hanging with each other and
Oh, at the kitchen
yeah,
table where they were
right.
Johnny was the only one in suit and they were talking to the camera.
Like yeah, there's a few things. It was like when we got that clip, like you were saying, with Galactus that
Yeah.
peering into the building, like that was before like filming really
Actually
even
film,
started.
yeah. Principal
So
photography.
like right, and they already had all of that footage done. So like it was pretty clear that even though filming had started at that point and that they had that short production post-production time, they already had a lot done as far as the plan and they knew exactly what they were going to do going in. And
Mhm.
that's why I have no worries about this film because there was a clear
But
vision from the get-go,
but
I think.
Luke, they
Yes.
CGI'd Reed using his powers.
Oh my God. I
Did you
thought
see that? Did you see
Pe-
that?
Pedro Pascal cannot stretch. I'm sorry, he can't do it. He's an amazing man, and I believe he can do almost anything. Pedro is my dad, but like,
Uh,
no, he cannot
but did
actually
you see that?
stretch.
Did you see that on
Yes,
Twitter? They're
yes,
like, how dare they use CGI to show him stretching his powers? I'm like, what you want to do? Put him on the gallows and stretch him medieval style? Like,
I
damn. Oh, dude, when I saw that, I couldn't stop laughing for like a solid 5 minutes. I was like, these people exist, and
they do.
and they share air amongst us. Like, that's a scary thought.
They share air amongst.
It's a waste of air, bro.
They did not actually set Joseph Quinn on fire.
They might have tried. You never know it nowadays because they threw Florence Pugh off a building.
Yeah, that's true. That's pretty wild too.
Yeah. Um, so like on the topic of who's in it, like, and who got shown. What about all the other characters not shown? I think the only one they did show was John Malkovich, and it was brief,
Hmm.
right? Am I right in this?
Did they show him in this trailer? I'm
Or
trying
was
to
the other one?
remember.
But I was
I
saying,
think
like,
the other
but
trailer,
so far,
yeah,
the only one out of all these awesome castings they've had, and I
right.
think in the background you see Sarah Niles. I don't know if you ever watched Ted Lasso.
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, she plays a character I really like. She plays a psychologist, but she's a great actress.
Okay.
So I she's I think most people have theorized just because she's hard to see because she's out of focus that she's in the background when
Hmm.
like Reed's inside of that really cool building, like the UN sort of looking building, whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, but you still have Paul Walter Hauser and you have
Yes.
Natasha Lyonne who are in this movie
Yes.
and no one knows who they are.
Hmm.
And now, of course, if we want to go off rumors that they're going to play these traditional or classic, whatever you want to call them, characters from the Fantastic Four with Paul Walter Hauser supposedly playing Mole Man.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned that scene wherein Sue and Reed and the other ones are looking up at the Silver Surfer that they're standing on top of a manhole,
Hmm.
and I think it was New Rockstars, probably New Rockstars. It was on my Facebook feed. He like flipped the image around, and on the manhole you can read like, "On this day, the Fantastic Four saved the city." Basically,
Oh, wow.
what I'll have to find it and send it to you, but it was like
Uh,
it's written on the like like a quarters got like "In God We Trust" and stuff. Like
right.
imagine that, but like on a manhole saying like the Fantastic Four saved the city from blah blah blah. But of course,
Hmm.
their feet and legs block it.
Right.
But someone was saying that that's probably like an entrance to Subterranea where
Hmm.
Mole Man exists and operates and has all his, devious little creatures.
Hmm.
So I found it surprising that they didn't show anything except Silver Surfer and Galactus and then those four. But you know what? That's great because like when that moment happens in the film,
Right.
if that is what they're indeed doing, it's going to be a nice surprise.
Yes.
Um, and I'm kind of hoping that it stays that way, right? Because
Hmm.
it's one of those things like you don't need to see everything. Like
Hmm.
I was watching a movie recently and I'm like, I watched the trailer for this and I've already seen the best moments of the film. Now I'm
Yeah.
watching the film and I'm like, okay, I already know what happens. I saw this 3 months ago in front of this movie. So like
Hmm.
I'm glad about this. Sometimes it's best to hold your cards, but like the draw's there. You're gonna see Silver Surfer, you're gonna see Galactus. Great. But what do you think about all these characters not being shown?
I think it's a good tactic, like you said. We were just talking about last time, I believe, Brave New World and like how they did the opposite, where they would, where
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's true.
they showed so much, and it was like, why did you do that? And now in this case, I really love the restraint with the marketing, and I love the restraint with the marketing with Thunderbolts too, where they're not showing like the Sentry outfit in certain parts of
Yeah.
that movie that I know are going to be there, and I'm like, that's exciting. The
Yep.
fact that they're not just showing everything to an audience because they believe in the product enough that they don't need to just show you every single cameo or casting or major scene in the movie. And that's a testament to the confidence they have in this movie right now, and deservedly so, because man, it looks great. And I want to go in not knowing certain things like that. You know, if he is going to end up being Mole Man, cool. I don't need to see it. Let me see it when I go to the theater, man. Like, let that happen that way. We've already gotten to look at Silver Surfer and part of Galactus. Why do I need to see secondary villains that are probably in much more of a small role in this film?
Yeah.
Like
For like
let
all 2, 3 minutes.
right,
Yeah.
like let them stay hidden. Let them
Yeah.
be not part of the marketing. So yeah,
Um,
I'm with it.
Speaking of seeing things, one of my friends is seated right now to see Thunderbolts.
Oh my
He got he,
God, I'm so
he got tickets
jealous.
in Florida. He got to go. He was like, he talked earlier this week about how he may or may not be able to go, but he just said, "I have arrived." So I was like,
I'm
"Well,
so jealous.
must be nice." I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
I've got school tomorrow, so I'm not gonna be able to do any of all that business, but it's all good. Like, I'll get to enjoy it in an early morning the way I intend to." So
Wow.
there's like 9 minutes left till, or 8 minutes left till reactions come out, which I don't really have anything else to say on Fantastic Four. There, that's most of the
Yeah.
beats there, but it did get me a little bit more hyped up. I was just really glad I finally got to see Reed's powers. I was like, why are they being so hesitant to show that? Because I mean, Johnny's an easy one. You see a dude on fire and flying, great. Ben, big old dude in a rock suit. Although that scene with him pulling that
Oh,
ship out of
dude.
the thing,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Yes.
Also like that the kids loved him. They're like,
Yes.
lift the car, and he,
Superman
and
inspired, dude.
yeah, and he can't
Yeah.
even like not do it because I mean it's children asking him to do it, and the sense of joy and pride, and you kind of see like a tiniest little smirk on his face when they cheer for him. Like that's one thing I really didn't care for in the original Fantastic Four is that they made him like hideous monster, like blah, like no, they're like they love him, they love this guy. At least that's what I'm picking up from what I saw there.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah,
honestly so refreshing. I love that choice. And you can this is such a I saw someone else point this out and it's so true. I love when the effects artists get to flex their muscles with like a
Yeah.
digital creature or VFX creature or character with water and how it like reacts to their skin. Like
Mhm.
that's such like a oh that's so true. Someone pointed that out. I was like, you know what? That's actually a great call because that is
That is the
always
measure.
that is a big
Mhm.
guilty pleasure for me. I always look at it, I'm like, oh, that's so good. Like
Yeah.
that's how
Or
you know
like
they
Pirates
got
of
it
the
right.
Caribbean, like with all the crazy effects they had
Yes.
in that movie, that series, man, God, take me back to 2006 or seven, whatever. They did such an incredible job with those.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so it's good to see that they're giving more time to the artists so they can make things look
Yes.
that way. That look at that, look at the reaction you're having. And this is from a trailer. We always know that a trailer is still like in progress, not completely 100% done.
Right.
Like they're almost there, but it's still like 90%, which still look
Yeah.
great. I'm not knocking it any way
Hmm.
whatsoever.
I have no
Uh,
worries.
Speaking of things in the middle of things, what about the behind the scenes for Superman Day we got the other day? I'm sure I saw you were, pretty excited about it, posting a couple times. I
Yeah.
was like in the middle of what was it, like Thursday or something? What day was that? It was Friday. I was doing stuff. That's why I didn't. I posted it and saw it, but I didn't really like absorb and react too much to it. But
Hmm.
definitely like very cool. I'm glad that we even said they got to do something for Superman Day. James Gunn, it's his favorite character. It's his thing. He
Hmm.
loves it, and he's got to put something out, right? So I think that was like the best thing to do because remember when we were saying that like he commented somebody on Instagram like I just gave you a trailer. I can't like
Yeah.
give you another one. I'm like, but that's definitely the best thing you could have done. But
Hmm.
what got me was people were like the robots were
Hmm.
what do you call it? Practical.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, James isn't gonna just CGI everything.
Hmm.
Like goodness me, I don't know. That's kind of like that weird thing that's happened over the years that people are so accustomed to things being this way that they don't realize it can be something else. And it's not always at the fault of the fans. I'm not
Right.
faulting the fans. They're just so
Right.
used to it being this way that it's like, oh, that's CGI. Like, Bubba, no, it ain't. It's
Hmm.
actually real. Somebody actually constructed that and made it physical, and then it got enhanced,
Yes.
which is the way it really should be. Although I
Hmm.
understand some things you cannot just do practically. You just can't.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's where I was so in love with this behind the scenes look because it really just shows you the craft to the filmmaking of James Gunn here, man. I mean, he's so committed to using practical effects when it's possible. Like you said, there are times where he can't, and he knows
Like that
that.
big kaiju, you're not gonna,
Right.
like that.
No.
No.
No. But as far as like you said, maybe the robots like we saw in that behind the scenes clip, or a lot of the Fortress of Solitude was practical and just like you said, enhanced with certain VFX or CG elements. Mr. Terrific ship we got to look inside of during
That
the
looked
behind. Yes,
amazing.
that looked
That looks
really
so
they
good.
got a Star Wars, like which is so cool. The fact that like you have that kind of look to it, and
Mhm.
there was like a bunch of different stuff in there too. I mean, there was I'm trying to remember. There was like eclipse with like flamethrowers. I'm not even sure what that was about, but like they were using flamethrowers on the set for something. It was
Probably for the kaiju's breath.
oh right, you're right. Yeah, that might be it. So like something like that, for example, like that
Yeah.
looks great too. The Hammer of Baravia, which is another character in the movie, that suit looked really cool. Kind of looked like a Lex Luthor war suit kind of thing. Like I thought that was really epic. There's just so much that's practical in the movie, so many actual sets and locations, and that's only going to add to the movie looking better, man.
Yeah, they went to Norway, right? I mean,
Yeah,
whew,
dude, they're in the
that's
they're in the snow.
yeah.
He filmed in that scene of him face down in the snow, hurt and in pain like
God,
that.
can you imagine
They
how
filmed
cold that
that.
must have been?
Yeah, dude, like that's
Dude.
such an amazing choice and dedication to like getting this to look as good as it can, and it's exactly why I'm gonna keep saying it. I should have, like you said, put a copyright on this, but like in James Gunn we trust, man. I've been saying this
I
for
just love that Rachel said it,
years.
man. Hearing it
Uh,
from that mouth. Ooh,
Dude, I have been
did
saying
something to
this
me.
from the moment he got hired. In
Yes,
James
you
Gunn, we
have. You have been
trust.
saying that. At one point, I remember I used to tease you about it.
Yes, I
I would
know.
say it and then I would tag you. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm making fun of you. I'm like,
No, it's
hey,
funny, yeah.
here's your thing. Here's your thing. But hey, but then they actually like happen. It's kind of like no, I'm not gonna say it because I'm not gonna give soups that. Never mind. Never mind. No,
I know
no.
exactly what you're gonna say. No,
Yeah,
no,
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 no, no,
no.
no.
Also, by the
Uh,
way, the suit looks even more beautiful in these behind the scenes looks, by the
it
way.
looks so good.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it was just so cool seeing him walking around. And you could see him like he felt
Yeah,
like a big kid, like with his first like, oh look at me, I'm like putting on a Superman suit, and he's like,
yeah.
This is real, man.
Oh my god, dude, Metamorpho
I'm
too.
Superman. Yeah, all of it, dude. When they were
Oh
showing
my
that,
gosh.
like, yeah, that. Oh, goodness me, man. I'm like I was telling you that you're like you got to go see this or Sinners in IMAX. I'm like, dude, the only IMAX is either in San Antonio or Austin. I'm smack dab in the middle between them, so I have to pick one or the other.
Mhm,
Technically, San Antonio is closer, but I don't really like going to San Antonio.
mhm.
But I may have to. I may have to for these movies. I may have to make the sacrifice and drive an hour to go see them because if they put this much effort into making it look this good, then I can put
Right.
in a little bit more effort to go see it in the best method, format, screen possible. And it's not like I'm doing this for every movie. I'm doing it for probably these two and Jurassic,
Yeah.
which they're all in July,
Yeah, I was gonna say all in 1 month. Oh,
all in 1 month,
yeah, it's a
which is
lot.
great because I just switched up my schedule. So I'm going to be free July and August. So I'll be able to do all that because I was going to be doing summer classes throughout the whole summer, but I split it up and I'm doing all of them in the month of June.
Heck yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm wondering, oh, I think Ironheart comes out in June.
Yeah, Ironheart is in June.
Yeah. I'm going to have to just wait till it's over and then catch it all at once. But it's okay. Uh, the last thing was something you shared.
Yes.
It was that Lantern's test flight.
Yeah, yeah, right. The Lantern's test flight. I
It's
thought that
nothing
was
crazy. It was just
cool.
cool.
Just cool. I mean, the big thing is it just kind of continues to shut people up that are like, oh, it's gonna be so grounded. They won't do anything Green Lantern-y. It's like you just saw them use their rings to fly in test footage. Like they're gonna do their things. They're still gonna be Green Lanterns. People need to relax. Just because we had that one quote about the True Detective comparison does not mean it's gonna be just a grounded True Detective show. It's gonna have plenty of sci-fi elements. I am more than sure of that. We already know Sinestro's in the show too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even remotely worried about that, and I was really excited by that look. So that was really cool.
Yeah. Have you seen all the people that are showing up to the premiere of Thunderbolts right now?
I was literally just about to
Simu just pulled up.
literally just about to look for reactions right now. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, here we go.
All right, hit me with it. What you got?
Okay, 1 second. I think they're about to like slowly start coming out. Like the first one is like from 15 seconds ago. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna try to read through a bunch of different ones. Let me just make sure these are legit accounts. Yeah, legit. Okay. Thunderbolts is raw, hilarious, and deeply human. It's a bold dive into trauma, healing, and redemption. Proof that even the so-called defective losers and disposable delinquents can rise above their past and become the heroes no one expected. It's gritty, emotional, and unlike anything Marvel has done before. A must-see story that hits where it hurts and heals where it matters. One mid and post-credit scene with a mind explosion emoji.
Nice. I just saw another one below
Um,
that. It says Thunderbolts takes the Marvel Cinematic Universe into the world of independent cinema. It is unlike any product that came
yes.
before. Florence Pugh gives a performance worthy of an Oscar. The MCU is finally back and better than ever. Stay till the end for some magnetic.
Magneto.
No, they put magnetic and then they put an actual magnet emoji.
Oh.
Ooh.
Imagine Magneto for some reason just pops up at the end of Thunderbolts.
Oh
That'd be
boy.
so bizarre. Okay.
Another one.
Yeah.
Perhaps Mike.
Um,
Thunderbolts was awesome. Tons of implications on how the MCU is moving forward. The team works well together. Plenty of emotion. Yelena is my MVP. Definitely a super fun movie. Definitely stick around after the credits. Wink face emoji. Man. All
mhm.
right. Well, I'm glad that my friend's watching it right now because I'm about to find out what those things are. I don't care anymore. I need to know.
Yeah, no, me too. We're gonna let me know too. I
I
have
I
to know.
I, I will definitely text you.
Yeah, I will need to know. Oh, I got another
Yeah.
one. Shocked how good Thunderbolts is. Putting emphasis on the character work and practical action makes us feel like old Marvel that has us for a decade plus. Wish we'd gotten this sooner. Hope that this dysfunctional team has chemistry too. Cool. Oh,
I like
helps.
this.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
I like this. This excites me.
I really did not have any concerns about this movie, by the way. I really have not.
I never really did, but at the same time, this movie wasn't like in the forefront of my mind where I'm like, I'm really excited to see this movie. I'm more like, hey, I'm going to see this movie when it comes out, which it's not indicative of Thunderbolts. It's just indicative of how my life is because I'm so busy.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I do this podcast with you, I do the podcast for the Cosmic Circus, I write for the Cosmic Circus, I write for the newspaper, I go to school full time, I work part time on the weekends, and yet I still find time to play like Marvel Rivals and stuff. And I'm like, the other stuff on my mind, like I have to balance it all out. It's kind of crazy.
yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, this is looking good. I'm just gonna have to like suck it up and wake up and go watch it like first thing I can over next weekend.
Yeah, I will be seeing it opening night at 10 p.m. So I will be up late that night, but it's cool. I got to see
It's
it. I can't
it's
help
what,
myself.
next Thursday, the
Yeah,
first.
dude. It's
Oh wait, I'm off Thursday. I have a banquet, but I could go watch the movie right afterwards. So yeah, I might be able to see it. If that happens, we might have to record a little bit sooner than usual.
I don't mind. Yeah, if we have
Yeah,
time, I'm
yeah,
totally
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll have to figure. Well, I mean, we can always talk, but this is getting me really excited. Yeah, I can't wait. Let's see, any other ones? I'm sure there's
Not
more coming.
yet, but
Yeah, I'm
I'm
sure
sure.
people are literally
Yeah,
typing right now as we're speaking. But
yeah.
this
No,
is a
there'll be
great
more.
start.
I will say though, even though I don't think this is going to be a case here, there are a lot of times where the initial reactions from these embargoes are like extremely positive, like more
Yeah,
so than they're supposed to be.
but you know what I haven't
But
seen so far yet? The
what?
best thing Marvel's done since Endgame. So as long as I don't see that, I'm good. Because I'm tired of hearing that phrase because that is ridiculous. And honestly,
Yeah,
people act like Endgame was a perfect 10 out of 10. It definitely wasn't. I love it. I love it very much. Don't get me wrong. But people act like that movie was perfect and that nothing could ever top that when there's definitely been, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 to me was better than Endgame in its own way.
I actually fully agree with that. I think that
Yeah.
movie's the best in Marvel, period. Actually, it's my favorite. But
Yeah. That and Winter Soldier are just divine. Both of them.
yeah, post Endgame, we've gotten plenty of great projects. I don't need to keep hearing. I
Yeah.
don't need to keep hearing that phrase. I mean, No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Wakanda Forever. I stand by.
Wakanda Forever was really
Yeah,
good, but
Guardians
I
3,
understand.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Like we've gotten so
Okay, I don't know
many.
about Deadpool and Wolverine, but that's just me.
No, but my point is, for me at
No, I
least,
get you. I was saying, I get what you're saying.
super fun movie that people loved. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot out there that people enjoyed. But
And there's also different taste to account for.
oh, of course,
I'm always for the most emotional impact. Like to me, like I'd never have a problem with crying at a movie. I cried so much during all of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Like, dude, I should have taken a whole box of tissues because it was hard to get through that movie. Luckily, I ate a lot of really salty popcorn. So like I'd taken a crap ton of paper towels in there with me and I had to go through all of them. I couldn't even get like halfway through the movie. But that's the thing, like that's what I want out of a movie. I like seeing a movie and getting emotional, be it happy, sad, fearful. Some people really just want to see a bunch of cameos and hard hitting action. I like
right.
that too. I like that too, but there's other things.
I got
Uh,
one.
hit me.
Uh, Thunderbolts is in many ways different from other MCU films that have come before it, and that freshness couldn't have arrived at a more opportune time when the franchise is in need of new blood and direction. It's some of Marvel's darkest material to date, dealing with the emotional wreckage of broken individuals, grappling with their past choices, and finding camaraderie amidst the emptiness of their lives. This may be a team-up film, but it very much belongs to Florence Pugh, who carries much of the dramatic weight of the movie on her back while Lewis Pullman delivers a complex performance as a sympathetic character at war with himself. It may not be the flashiest, funniest, or strongest Marvel film, but its rough edges and imperfections somehow all feel fitting for this anti-hero team of misfits.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. I guess something we can talk about real quick. Who are you most excited to see in this movie now that you've seen some reactions?
Um,
For me, I'm really
honestly,
excited about John Walker. Obviously,
yeah,
Yelena's the face of it in the front, but I'm really just excited to see what's happened with John Walker in this time because he's a disgraced, soldier and former Captain America. But I
right.
want to see like what's he been up to this whole time. Where's his shield? What's it made out of? Why did he agree upon this? Like just little things like that. And then I'd say out of all of them, my least favorite, I really don't want to see Red Guardian again, but I have to.
Oh no, I love Red Guardian.
He is that guy at the party that keeps trying too hard to be funny, and you're just like, dude, just give it a
The
rest.
Red Guardian, come on, it's our guy.
And that accent, oh my god.
But for me, I'm probably Lewis Pullman, honestly. Cause I'm such a big fan of Sentry, honestly, after reading the Paul Jenkins run on that character, and I'm so curious to see how they adapt that character. And like they were kind of pointing out there, like it's a character that is very much at war with himself, and I want to see how they
Mhm.
capture the tragic element of that character in the MCU specifically, because they're not going to adapt it the exact same way. They're definitely going to have some changes in there, and I want to see how they make those changes while still being faithful to what the development of this character is supposed to be. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for more than anything. So I'm super intrigued there.
You made a really cool video this morning. You sent it to me.
Yes.
You want to also mention what it is that you read so that people know what to check out?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this was the the original run of Sentry by Paul Jenkins. Paul Jenkins was the writer of this series, and he's the creator of the character Sentry.
How
And
many issues and what year did it come out?
the year is 2000. Issues,
Okay.
I think it was, I'm thinking six. I could be
Just
wrong, but
a
off,
few,
yeah.
a few. Okay.
Yeah, it was a short run, but then later on, though, the years later, he
Mhm.
continued the series from where the other one left off because his series very much ended on a bit of a cliffhanger where it was
Really?
like there was room to continue for sure.
Gotcha.
Like there
Gotcha.
was a clear spot to continue that story. And
Uh-huh.
eventually he does continue that story. And it was just as excellent as it was before. So I recommend reading the whole thing. It's not even that long, even with
You
the
said
add-ons.
six issues.
Yeah, I
I
think it
may
was
have to
six.
read that sometime in the next couple weeks,
And then
or before I watch this
yeah.
movie, I guess.
And then the continuation is like a comparable amount. It's not that much more than six if it's more than six. So it's worth reading for sure. And I can see why some people are like, man, how do you even fit in this character? Because just the character is so powerful. Like how do you
Mhm.
squeeze him in? And like it's not even like, oh, he's kind of powerful. Like again, he's literally the
Yeah.
strongest character in Marvel based on the
Okay.
comics. Like
Because
he's that powerful.
I have like a 2 hour break tomorrow in between classes, and I'm like, I really just want to sit down and read and enjoy something, because I'm at that point where I can actually chill. So I was like, what could I was thinking about picking up and reading where I was left off with Ultimates, but like they're all in progress. I wanted to read something complete, and I think Century is perfect. I can just
Yes.
sit down, read six issues really quick, get a story start to finish, and then move on with my night. So,
Yeah, no, I think
but
that's a
yeah,
good pick. So
yeah.
definitely go through it.
I will let you know tomorrow or on this week, next week, I guess. Are there any other new reviews?
Not really right now. Again, they're gonna keep slowly trickling out over the next
Okay.
hour plus. But still, this is
Well then, yeah, no, I have nothing
nice
else to say at
though.
this point. I mean, it
No,
just
me
I'm
neither.
excited. I'm gonna go see this as soon as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh wait. Oh, never mind. I thought there was a new one. But there will be more new ones. So if you want to go find these reactions, just go on Twitter or X, whatever the hell we're calling it, and put in hashtag Thunderbolts, and you'll find some reactions to this movie. Just check the account though, make sure it's one that seems to be legit, because sometimes there's like joke accounts that put out bullshit just for fun. But there are real ones.
There is one guy in particular that does
Yes,
it.
you
His are
know,
funny at least.
I forgot what
I
his
know
name
exactly what you're talking.
is.
I can't
Yeah,
remember his name, but he's Ben Meckler, I think.
maybe. Yeah, I can't think of the name, but that might be it.
Hold on. I think if so, he may have already posted one, and that would be hilarious. No,
Not
that
yet.
that dude usually posts. No, nothing from him yet. He might be busy, but he posts sometimes, and they're hilarious. But yeah, but all right, cool. And
All right.
I'll let you know what my friend says after he gets out of the movie in a few
Yes,
hours.
please,
So
definitely let me know. But this
keep
has
an
been a
eye out.
very, very packed episode. Not that many topics, but very long topics. So
Yeah,
very enjoyable to talk about all this, man. This is a blast as always. And next time we talk, we will be on the verge of seeing Thunderbolts ourselves. So, getting closer and
yeah.
closer.
Next week's the 29th, and we'll see what happens between now and then, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
All
Well,
right.
this has been another wonderful episode of Capes and Crossovers, everybody. See you, Marvin. Have a good one.
You as well.
That's a wrap on this episode of Capes and Crossovers. Thanks for joining me and Marvin on this journey through the world of heroes. If you enjoyed today's episode, share it with a fellow fan, and let's keep building a community rooted in sincerity and celebration. Until next time, keep your cape flying high and your hearts open to the next big crossover. See you next time.